After their April 2008 school board meeting, the Weare School Board taped a question and answer session on default budget and revote. What you're going to see are excerpts from that taping. If you'd like to contact a Weare School Board member, their contact information is at
I think there's two main reasons that I mention to folks whenever I'm asked this personally, and it always seems to be that we're asked the question, how do we get this second vote? As part of that, why are we going out for a second vote? The how part is that when the community went to the SB2 town, which is where we vote in the ballot instead of make a decision as a community in an all-day meeting, it sort of took away the ability for the community to have that open conversation about what the budget should be. And you were given a choice. It's either A or B. And there's no in-between in that one time that you're in the ballot. This is not an opportunity for the board to go back out and do something that wouldn't otherwise be right for any other community or any other district to do. And many times we're told that we haven't listened to the voters and they're no vote. I think on the contrary, we have listened to the voters. We've listened and know that the amount that we asked for was too much. But there's no way to have a conversation with voters other than to bring forward another budget that would be reduced. The need for the funds are definitely there. We would be on our second default budget. In the 9 years that I've served, I was trying to recount this earlier this evening, I think I may have been sitting on this board for 3 times when we've had a budget that was successful. And after a while, that starts to add up. As far as funding for educational aspects, that's generally where it hurts the most. You cannot keep up on the maintenance of the buildings. You can't keep up with advanced educational aspects because you can't go out and buy new materials. You can't go out and purchase new books. You're basically covering your minimum needs, like salaries for the teachers, which are negotiated, and operational expenses for the building from one day to the next.
I'd like to add perhaps a more philosophical answer to the question as to why we're going back out. Because I think it's our role we're the students' advocates. We don't advocate for the students who will. And yes, we're also responsible for doing that in a fiscally conservative way, which I think we always do. And along with being fiscally conservative, we have to be good stewards of the facilities. And I don't think we can be good stewards of the facilities and an adequate student advocate without going out for another revote.
They truly don't understand what it means to get a default year after year. Yes, you can run the school on that default budget. The only problem is that now that you're 2 years back, you have to make some cuts because you're running your school on a budget that was made 2 years ago. So now you have to, obviously it's just like running your household. I mean, if you're trying to run your household on your budget from 2 years ago, you're going to have to make some cuts. And we're in the same situation. You know, we've got a household of 1,200 kids that we have to deal with. And unfortunately, we have to make some cuts. And the cuts aren't easy. No matter where you make the cut, you're not gonna make friends. You're not gonna make everyone happy. But it's our job to find the areas that the cuts are made that will be in the best interest of the students. And that's the bottom line here that always comes out is we're trying to do this in the best interest of the students, to get them the best quality education that we can at the best cost that we can. And as Helen said, we've done it fiscally responsibly as much as possible. But as you all know, everything's going up in price. Nothing's coming down. Same with us. It doesn't stop here. So in order for us to manage ourselves on a default budget, we're going to have to make some cuts. And if we want to move the schools forward, move our students forward to be more competitive in high school and beyond, it takes money to do that. And I think we've done everything we can to be as responsible to the voters and the students to make that happen. And now it's up to the voters to help us move forward.
I think it also needs to be stressed that the budget from 06-07 was our old middle school, and we now have a new facility that we have to pay for, we have to maintain, we have to keep clean, we have to pay for extra utilities, and it's going to take cuts and to be able to do that just with the snow plowing. I know the increases were partially because of the snowstorms that we got inundated with, but also we have a whole new area to be cleaned and cleared off, and that money wasn't anticipated, and we have to account for it.
Funds for professional development, and I feel that that's a really crucial part of what we have to do to be sure that our students are receiving the best education we can provide for them, and that is to see that our staff, our professional staff, gets the professional development ongoing that they need to stay current. I mean, things change. Just look at what's happening in technology, and that's how we're doing most of our business, and so it's important that our staff gets that time and opportunity for the development they need. So that's one thing that hurt this year. And
I was just talking to a teacher from a different district the other day, and it's not a rich school budget town, but she said that in their town, every year they have a full week of everyday math.
Wow.
And we get a day, maybe.
Yeah.
And it just struck me that she just thought that was, of course, everybody gets a whole week of everyday math consultants coming in.
Yes.
They sit down and they work through curriculums and lesson plans with the teachers. They have a team approach with these consultants for a whole week, and we get a day.
You're splitting personnel between two schools. You're eliminating positions. We're actually going in reverse, where we should be moving forward. We built a brand new school, and we told the townspeople that we were going to be able to move the schools forward now with this new facility, and we were really excited about that. But now we're actually going to start moving backwards before we can actually start moving forward. And I think that's sad. I mean, we had a commitment that we would go forward, and that's our job to do that. And it's just not going to be able to happen.
And when people say, well, gee, you've got extra money at the end of the year, how could that be? And it's because we had to make those decisions at the beginning of the year. So it's not like, oh, we're short a little bit of money, let's just cut out a couple of weeks worth of library. We have to cut it out for the entire year. And that's how we end up covering some costs. And there may end up being excess money at the end of the year because we had to make those full year cuts. And I think that's important for everybody to understand. I know I didn't understand it.
but it does make a big difference, especially in, I mean, we can reach out of that 20, we can probably maybe 12 to 14, sort of in the middle, and we'll get whatever the lesson is. But you've got the kids that need the extra help that the teacher can't provide, and then we have the kids up here who need the enrichment because they've already got it and they're bored. So if we had more adults working with kids, we could offer more help all around, and we could have AP class, honor classes, more enrichment programs. Education aid, and that's just providing the essentials, what's necessary. Why don't we talk about quality, which is excellence? And if we had more staff and we had more money, we could do that. We could provide all kinds of things and give our children a whole lot more to prepare them for tomorrow when they're out living in a global economy.
And our teachers do a remarkable job with what they have to work with. They do the best they can on a professional level to teach the students every day. So, there's nothing against the teachers at all. I mean, they're doing everything they can with what they can do. But wouldn't it be nice to give the students more, to be able to enrich their education as they should be. Just as we want to grow every day, you know, they want to grow every day. I mean, they're growing in height, they're growing in weight every day. You know, we need to grow their minds every day. You know, and we're using books from 1991. You know, we're using outdated materials, other materials. You know, we're not able to give them new information on a timely manner. Yeah, there's the internet and there's computers and stuff like that, but if it's not taught to them in the proper way, they really won't get what they need out of it when they look at this information. That's what we really need to get to them. We need to get them moving forward and growing their minds. I mean, we're able to give them a nice new facility in the other school. We're able to you know, feed them every day, but they're there to learn and for us to grow their minds. That's what they're there for. And the best way to do that is to reduce the classroom sizes and get the teacher right in front of them into that core group of students so they can grow their minds every day. We want to be better than adequate. You know, we want to be, you know, we're not looking for, you know, the high end. We're looking for better than adequate, and every year grow a little bit more. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's not, we're not looking for it all at once.
Right.
We want to be able to grow every single year, just as the students are growing. That's our goal.
And if I have the numbers right, even with the proposed budget passing, we will still be dead last in cost per pupil.
If you look at just one of the schools that's similar in size and that's just barely above us on the list of cost per pupil at about $8,000 per pupil, that being Chester. You know, that's $500 a kid. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you figure on average, it's about $10,000 a classroom. That's a lot of money. I mean, if now you're talking about, I mean, from where we are now, as Paul was just saying, if you could imagine the ability to infuse a classroom with $10,000 more worth of, say, technology,
Smart boards,
yeah,
Spanish and
those
French.
those aid aspects of any educational program that aren't necessarily, you know, just salary-driven items. Again, salary is incorporated into this budget through our default because it's a contracted item. This is we're talking about areas of our budget and that which directly affects every single kid, because it's something that either they can touch, they can look at, they can manipulate, they can explore, they can experiment, and that's the kind of difference that a slight amount of money would make. And again, we're not talking about going to $8,000 per student. We're adding maybe another $50, if that.
For me as a parent, it never really struck me what that really amounted to until I started going to statewide school events, like sporting events, and you start talking to parents from other communities and you hear what their children are exposed to. You know, it really kind of makes you sit back and wonder, what are we trying to do here?
We talked about this in last week's meeting, that, you know, we have brand new facility up the road. This facility has come up great strides from where it was, and everyone feels the same way that we've talked to, is that they want to keep it that way. The first thing that we talked to about was, do not let that school get into the condition of the old middle school. That can happen very quickly. There's, again, 600 students mulling around all day with plus staff. I mean, it doesn't take long to dirty up that school and to get things broken and run down. We really need to stay on top of that, and you know, unfortunately, you know, cutting staff it was a hard decision to make, but it was an area we thought we could get by without having to cut, you know, academics or programs. But it's one that's very, very necessary in running the everyday operation to provide the best environment for the students to learn in.
Oh, a couple of board meetings ago, Jess Potter came and gave us her PIVAS report and said how the incidence of discipline had fallen off considerably this year, and a lot of it could be attributed to the fact that they've got a nice new facility. The corridors are wider so that there's less congestion and trouble going on there. The cafeteria is bigger and nicer, and lunch is pleasant now. They're not all crammed in a little space. So, yeah, the new facility has made a big difference there, and we do have to maintain it.
constantly put forward that we have to be a feeder program for the high school. In any sport, football, baseball, basketball, whatever, that, you know, we need a good feeder program for the high school. It's the same thing for education. You need a good feeder program for that education, for the high school. I mean, I don't want, you know, the child leaving the middle school or leaving the elementary school, going to the middle school, going to the high school unprepared. They're going to have to start all over again. You're not going to be able to have, you know, AP French. You're not going to be able to have AP Math, because you're not going to have enough students coming into there, you know, eligible for those, because they're going to have to start from scratch again at basics. And so it's the same as sports. We need a good feeder program in the classroom. Actually, that should become a priority over the sporting program of feeder programs.
I think this is one of those opportunities where, just as we had that moment in time with the school and the decision that the community made to invest at that time, this is the time we've got to make a stand and start making a little investment on the side of education and curriculum. Because for that gap to get wider, then we're now trying to chase the gap and get ahead of the gap all at the same time, which is a much harder task, both fiscally and educationally.
We really don't have a choice for the kids.
It's for the kids. And
For the community.
for the community.
Community.
Well, it's for the future.
For the future.